Ah, yes, yes, the World Cup. Hitler fled to Argentina, and Argentina still lost. I don't know. Must be rigged. I don't know. Benjamin Netanyahu couldn't get it done for the Jews. Anyways, what's going on, everyone? It's Mr. Trout here, as always. Hope you all have had a great weekend, great little last week of trade. It's been super interesting. It's been super interesting for sure. We're gonna probably start off with the SPX today, just because there's a lot that happened last week, and there's a lot we could talk about with this. So, pretty interesting stuff going on with it. Pretty interesting stuff going on with the SPX. It was a pretty volatile week, as it should be. We got to talk a lot about dealer gamma as well. If you guys remember the other video, I said, are dealers short gamma yet? Not yet, but they actually pretty much halved, more than halved, their upside positive gamma. Futures right now, kind of positive. Not surprising to see going into tech week. I think last week's oversold scenario was a bit much. Something very interesting, though, came up. We're going to get into everything. Okay? So, what do we see here? We're going to start off with just the monthly SPX TPO. And the reason I say that is because we have these two composites here for basically 2 months of value for May and June, which we can combine. And we actually faded back into it. Okay? So, we actually see, too, that closed under 30-day VWAP and under the current month value area low. So, we pretty much went right back below the monthly open, okay? If we move down to the weekly, we pretty much came down and tested near the value area low, right, of last week. So the trend is still up, even if it is setting basically higher highs and higher lows, which it has been. It's just, when I look at this is what I think, okay? There's a big gap in this chart, which we'll see when we move to candles in a second here. You have like a really weak, kind of unrepaired high here. Like the all-time high, usually when you set it, it gets swept, and we'll get into that. And nothing structurally has really even broken yet, or anything like awfully bad in this whole thing, right? So like just looking at it in general too, like a lot of days we had value shift higher, got a bit choppy up here, and you know, by all means, the TPO here from this high held perfectly. We came up, tapped it, and went down, right? Like that was perfect. You can see the block right there went right to it, and we went down. So it's not surprising to see why this kind of happened. But regardless, we had OpEx, and we now have VIXEXP coming up. So let's just zoom out here and kind of see what has happened every OpEx. A lot of times when we got near the highs, it looks like, you know, OpEx there's a sell-off just after, but there was a rally into VIXEXP or just post VIXEXP, right? We can see here there's a rally into VIXEXP as well. This is a little bit different, but we did like so here's your VIXEXP, right? We crush vol and push up. We crush vol and push up. Here's a little bit different because we started to lose a lot of value and actually break our range, and we got to cross down. So this is where the move got accelerated, where we couldn't crush vol. We tried to ramp it up into VIXEX, but we actually crushed vol. We didn't crush vol here, and the move actually accelerated down, right? If we actually just go to the top of this candle here at 6,700, this is pretty much just a straight decline into 6,321, right? So VIXEXP's interesting. A lot of people always focused on OpEx as being like the dagger, the big spooky wookie, right? I'm always more inclined to see what happens on VIXEXP, right? You can just see a lot of times when it is a bull market uptrend, we kind of rally into VIXEXP, or it even marks a brief low, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we tried to rally into VIXEXP. I really wouldn't. And the reason I say that is, one, there's a gap left here, right? The market will never crash. We've talked about this tons of times. The market will never crash with a gap in between the charts. It'll always come back and fill it. And quite frankly, there's no real reason to freak out just yet. Are there some things going off with maybe the war and oil being, are we getting a little overheated? Or dealers starting to lose a bit of gamma? Sure. Why not? Absolutely. Is the dollar so much stronger now? Not really. I think it's overblown completely. But when I think of what's about to happen here with VIXEXP, we're probably going to get some weird Vanna-based charm rally into it. That's what I think we get at least one more week of cushion. The problem I have, and Dan tweeted this, Dan tweeted this out 15 minutes, I think, before I was about to record this video. Dealers have halved their long gamma, but the most important part is what happens going forward into August, right? Summer weakness, sure, happens. It's very common. And the reason why is just a lot of traders, vol traders, they're just not at the desk, right? It's a bit of a weakness period. Markets kind of just get lazy. There's some overseas issues too, you know, Japan, Korea, like, sure, it's just seasonal. It's seasonality, right? I would not be surprised with tech earnings this week. We got Google, we got Tesla. I'll throw an image on the screen here of all the earnings coming out. But is there a possibility here where we can just crush vol for a bit and cushion up? And we're going to look at positioning everything in a second. But honestly, the trend, did we lose the 20? Sure. Did we lose the 50? We didn't even go down and tap it. We're right in the middle. And to look at this from a different perspective too, we haven't taken out the June lows. We haven't taken out the June lows. We haven't even taken out the July low, right? Key levels. Monthly open. Did we go below it? Yeah. Previous week low, though, didn't take it out. So, if anything, what we're doing, we have low, higher high, lower high, or sorry, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? And we did sweep this high here and this high here, right? So the trend is still up. It is not broken. We haven't lost anything. These moving averages aren't even compressed yet. So I'll be honest, and even looking at this on the internals on the Friday session, that was complete capitulation here towards the end of the session at the late time of the day, right? But the tick was actually positive going into the end of the session. So what happens at capitulation, right? When you get a big red mark like that, what happens? Well, look, we had a low here on a Wednesday session. We pushed up, right? Did we go back eventually and sweep it? Sure. But we did inevitably, when this trend reversed, went higher, right? Capitulation here, right? Right here, pump up, right? Next couple sessions or whatever, right? We might have wicked down or for a bit, but these oversold trends here, when you start to get these red flags going off, that's actually usually a reversal point, right? So to me personally, and this is just a prediction, predictions are whatever, I could be wrong, right? I won't know till I can see the 0-day and weekly profile when the market's open. It's another reason why I never give levels randomly on a weekend to trade through, because 0-day profile is always different. Do I look at the moving averages and VWAP and see where we are? Absolutely. But I mean, this is one thing where I think a lot of casual traders get wrong. Whatever the fuck you're seeing on a dead session, overnight, weekend, pre-market, after hours, doesn't mean anything, because every day the profiles are different, right? You could have some levels from a TPO standpoint that might have some confluence. You could have some gamma levels, whatever, or not gamma levels, pardon me, positioning levels that might have some confluence. But it really doesn't matter. Never has, right? You think a guy at the CBOE floor is the RSI, MACD, and Fibonacci up? No, absolutely not. Okay, so regardless, I think we're at some pretty much coming into a potential low here, right? This gap right here has to be filled. And if you guys can't see it, it has to be filled, right? So I would say that at least gets moved, or at least gets filled before a move down. And I don't think the move down's yet. I think we have at least 1 week yet of cushion, like I've been saying. The move index, a little bit of a sell-off into the end of the session, a little bit of treasury volatility. But if we actually look at bonds right now, they're still down for a little bit. The 1 and 2 year up a little, sure. But the long end of the yields, the 20 and 30 year, which I think is a little bit more impactful, 10 year as well, they're actually a little bit down right now. So that's, maybe we see a little bit of move index volatility, and that contributed to the downside. But, you know, if we want to look at another thing here, where's skew? Skew, investors were paying a little bit for downside protection. In fact, I'll put a couple of flows on the screen here that I thought were interesting. But overall, skew is kind of right where it should be, right? A lot of people are, you know, still pretty much to the upside. You know, this skew right here, this is different when you start seeing downside protection kick in, right? Let's go back in history too. High skew up here, we start seeing downside protection come in, right? I would say right now, it's fine, right? But you can see skew really spikes hard when investors are really seeking for downside, right? Same thing right here, right, for a big drop. So, I don't know. I think it's fine. Right now, I would be a little bit more concerned if we closed right at the 50 or better yet, under it. But to me right now, this is still just, I would argue, like a a wedge consolidation maybe, or maybe even a bull flag. Some people might call this a rising wedge. I don't know. It could be. But SPX wise, I mean, there's nothing really to say. Like, this level here is really interesting at 74.57. And the reason I say that is 74.46 is a short-term sell level for CTAs. 71.75 is a medium term. 67.45 is a longer term, right? If you guys want to pause this and read through this, by all means, go ahead. But we're just not there yet. Interesting take by Dan here, saying that my view of DO positioning reinforces the risk of coming cohort. So this is no surprise, and this explains why I'm a little just, I guess the term is hawkish going into August, right? Especially with dealer positioning, dealer gamma. But we're just not there yet. Like I said, I think this is the last week of safe cushioning into tech earnings. See what they report from Tesla and Google and a couple other, I think chip makers are in there as well. So that's my take on the SPX right now. I think right here, honestly, you kind of just got to punt along at some point on one of the 0-day profiles and see if you can catch some upside. But I think when you start getting into very late July, maybe early August, you start saying, whoa, okay, where are we at? What's about to happen here? If I was to guess, actually, let's go pull up dealer positioning. So this is your large August positioning here, right? Or sorry, this is your full quarterly positioning. This is everything from now all the way through September, even the end of September. I put on the September 30th expiry because why not? So people are really monetized down here at this 7,300 strike, rightfully so. We can see 28,000 sold puts here, which means the market makers are basically long these puts because it's a sold put, but customers are short, right? So, or sorry, dealers would be short these puts, meaning they're bullish on it, but customers would be paying for the downside protection, right? And you can just see visibly here, this around 7,300. It's a lot of downside protection here. This strike exactly, we could probably go find out if it's September, August, but regardless, 7,300's a pretty big strike. So that's concerning. Some customers here are sold puts at 72.50. 73.50 as well. A lot of customers are sold puts. Dealers would be long these puts. Customers would be long the 7,400 strike in puts, dealers short puts. So you can definitely see people are actually paying for downside protection for sure. Like here's even the 7,100 strikes getting a pretty good bid here. What's this down here? Yeah, customers selling above, so expecting 6,700 to hold above. Yeah, so it's definitely interesting to see the downside hedging come out. As for the upside, yeah, it looks like 75.25. A lot of people are short at for the most part. 76.20. So dealers are short. These customers are long these calls. 7,700. A lot of people selling the call on this, so dealers would be long these calls. 7,800. A lot of sold calls up here from customers. Dealers are long these calls. 7,900. So customers are long this call. Dealers are short it. Same thing here. Dealers are short this. Customers are long this. So it's interesting, and we still have that big straddle buyer up here who hasn't even removed. Wow, this has not decreased at all, which is really interesting. This positioning we talked about, where there was that big gambler. I'm almost wondering if he just rolled this strike and took whatever profits out, and they're just letting the position ride. But it is very interesting and hasn't been adjusted at all. I want to go down here. And, well, yeah, we'll leave this all on, but let's just take out September. And let's just see what people are looking for into August. Wow, so people are really paying for that 7,400 even into August. So that's 20,000 7,100s into August. That's interesting. That really is something. We're still long the 7,500 call into August. 76.20, that's the all-time high, right? Okay, so dealers are short this, customers are long this. A lot of sold calls out of customers though through this whole range. Dealers are long pretty much all these calls. That's interesting. That's wow. I'm actually like slightly stunned to speak here, but that is interesting of how many customers would be sold these calls. Dealers would be long this. Well, it makes sense that this was the all-time high, right? Bunch of dealers sold calls here, customers long this, but also selling the 7615 strike. Wow. So that is all-time high, 7620 to the dot. That makes sense. There's a bunch of sold calls out of dealers here. So that's what it looks like going into August and September. This is August right now. Yeah. People are definitely... Wow, 6,000s for August? This is interesting down here. That's real interesting positioning for August. That would be a big drop. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's say we got a bit of a correction. Let's just say, right? Let's say our SPX top indicator was right, and let's just say we went through drawdown. Let's go 10% from the highs. 8% would be 200-day. 10%. 10% would be basically back at the previous cycle high here, right? Maybe that'd be an interesting spot to pull back into. What if we went like 15%? 13% would fill this gap. 15%. Well, that's a long drop as well. What if let's just say we went to 6,000? 20% correction. It could be possible. So the thesis I have with this that's weird though is if Trump wants to win midterms, he'd probably want to nuke the market. I'd expect September to October timeframe, and then rally it into those November midterm, right? So it's hard to say. Like we definitely are overextended for sure. Like there's no signifying about it. I just don't think it's yet. I think there's still got to be a retest of the all-time high and try and repair that high. Breath kind of ticking down. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I just don't think it's yet. I really don't. I think you got one more week of cushion, see what the tech earnings got to report here. What's important to me is what they say about CapEx and future revenue expectations. Okay. That's basically like that's where we're at. Where are we in a volatile time? Potential volatility coming up? Absolutely. No hiding it. But I will say this too. Credit spread wise, not really much showing up there. A little bit in the yield affected, a little bit for sure. But just not yet, just not yet, not yet. Okay. I think that's all we're gonna talk about for the big index. VIX definitely perked up, but there's that gap here too. It's probably gonna have to get filled. If you want to just quickly peek at VIX, let's go. Yeah, when is VIX expiration is the 22nd? Yeah, let's look at that. So I think as long as you hold below 20, you're good. But if 20 comes, I mean 22, 25, that'll probably come pretty quick if you start accepting above that, right? Definitely some hedging going on. How about let's check August. Wow, a lot of calls here for 47.5. Sold calls though, a lot of sold calls for a VIX 50. Okay. So I would say 40 and 50 would probably cap that VIX though. Hard to say, but there's definitely some hedging coming out for it. And wow, yeah, so stay above 16. This makes sense to why there's not much going on down here, because I saw this the other day too. I do think vol is bottom. Matt was tweeting about this, and I think vol is probably bottomed for now. People are just long this. Okay, well, front month, looking at it, that would make sense. VVIX as well, people definitely going in for protection a little bit, but I would say hedging right now is probably going to cool off. If VVIX falls back down under the 100 line and the VIX pulls back to fill this gap, and hell, if it even goes back to 15, I would say hedging's probably cooled a bit. But I think this week coming up is extremely interesting. Dealers had the longest gamma book of the year Wednesday and closed less than half it, 16 billion to just 6 billion in 2 sessions. That's a pretty big cut. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Like it really does. It really does. That explains some of that sell-off for sure. $5.3 billion in expires this week, carries month end, 0.1 billion into August. That's bad. Holy. That makes sense right here in February when they were shorter gamma. That's why we got that decline, and then March cushioned. Wow. Second half July is critical. I agree. This all aligns with exactly how I think. If you guys want to scan through this thread, you should. It's very informative. Everything on there is informative. But that completely explains my thesis as well too. Why August could be a potential weak point. Okay, that's cool. So we're gonna go and talk about big old biddy right now. Okay, so I already had this set up from earlier, but so what happened? Wednesday tapped the top of the previous monthly VWAP, came back down and interacted with the previous month. Actually, let's go to 4 hours, probably be a little more accurate. Came back down and interacted with the current and previous month VWAP here. It looks like they're about to cross over, which is interesting. And we're still trying to inch higher. We're actually getting above the current month VWAP. This is really good. This is really good. Yeah, so we're actually trying to accept back into the all-time high VWAP here right now. And wow. And we closed above it on the weekly. Now that's interesting. Okay, so we could see some upside in the fucking Bitcoin. Holy shit. This is real interesting. I've been watching this all week, but just looking at it now, I took the weekend off. I wasn't really looking at anything. But okay. So clearly there's acceptance above right now, right? No, sellers are clearly failing to bid this down. I can put some images on the screen here, some weird flow I saw come in last week. As well as, if I'm not mistaken, let's pull up BackQuant. BackQuant, use code BigTrout at checkout. You get a nice little discount there. This thing is fucking awesome. This terminal, if you guys like the Bloomberg terminal and you guys want something cheaper and fully customizable, dude, there's everything on here. Everything you think of. You can do custom shit. Look, you can run commands and all that, pull up whatever you want. Like, it's fucking awesome, okay? But there was... Where was it? This guy here kept bidding the 60s, 60,000 call July 31st. Big $1 million block here. So, another guy coming in for December here. But I think it was earlier this week. I'm going to put the images on the screen because it looks like I can't go back in time unless I'm just fucking stupid. But this is good. This is real good. And we could get some real interesting pop here. People were paying downside protection on BTC, but the thing is that they're just going to keep bleeding their puts out. Like, this is just going to keep rising and squeezing them. They're just going to have to buy it. And if we can get some positive gamma here to help squeeze this, right? It's going to be good. So, yeah. Anyways, back on focus here. 200-day moving average. This is going to be my target, right? Other target here would be the yearly if these two cross, right? We all know how this study works, but yearly VWAP is extremely important because it always signifies the shift for Bitcoin, right? If we go back in time and do it whenever we're in a midterm year, and we go to January 1st, a midterm year, you always trade under it, and then you flip it in the bull market before going higher, right? This happens every cycle. Do it on here as well, right? So this is interesting to me, right? Because July here, right? Basically, we defended this 58,000 or 5,800 level in 2018, all through summer, through August, got a pop into August, into September, before the final capitulation later in the year, right? And we're doing the same patterns. We really are, right? You know what's actually crazy about this too? Let me just show you this. So if we were to just take this anchored VWAP and let's just go from, I don't know, let's go this low, right? Or no? So if we went from this low here in 2016, right? See how the VWAP here defended this whole thing all through summer, right? And we just popped into the 200-day moving average in July, sold off, popped up again September, and then finally sold off into the end of the year. Okay, that's interesting, right? Well, you guys are never going to fucking believe this. You guys are never going to fucking believe this. Here's your FTX low. Oh, what are we defending? Oh, and guess what? In July, going into July 24th, we're looking to try and get a pop into the yearly and 200-day. So, say whatever the fuck you want. You guys can get conspiritual, whatever you want, right? You want to see something else fucking scary? Okay. Let's go here, right? Let's find July 13th. Here's July 13th, the final wick before you push higher, right? Okay. July 13th. Remember July 13th. Oh, here's July 13th in 2018, and we've been following 2018 very closely. And it was right up into the 24th, right into the 200-day. What are we doing now? We set our low in early July. Here's July 13th, and now we're trying to grind higher. Right? So, yeah. So Bank of Japan, if I'm not mistaken, go pull this up quick, are going to announce some pretty large news going into the end of the month on the 30th. I'd laugh if we topped out on this date or 5 days beforehand. Roughly 5 days beforehand is 20 well, that'd be 6 days is the 24th. Roughly 5 days, right? Could you imagine if this repeated 2018 perfectly all cycle? And we're going to get into ETH today too. Oh, you guys are going to fucking shit your pants when I show you ETH. And it's been doing what I said, and this is why I've been long through this. And I will hold my long into at least these levels, right? So another interesting thing we can look at, right? Oh, sorry. Let's turn that off. So let's look at this. Why do I have this red box here, right? Well, the 200-day and yearly are in this zone, but this 14% here is actually, there's a reason I have this level, right? Roughly 14% as well was the same thing in 2018, right? Where July from the previous high in May is roughly 14% difference, okay? If you were to go from the bottom of this, right here, go into this high, that's 46%, okay? If you were to go 46% from this low, come up to about 84,000. And what's there at 84,000? You guys are never going to believe this. Oh, 365-day rolling VWAP. Oh. Can you guys see that? Oh. So, do I think we go into 365 DWAP? VWAP? No. But I think this 200-day yearly area, I think that's a huge point of interest. And it's very funny they're going to cross. That's interesting to me. Rolling VWAP-wise, we're above the 7. We're above the 30. Rising above the 7. They couldn't do shit to bring us down. Okay? So, it's interesting. The one thing I will say about a rolling 365 VWAP, let's turn all this off here. 365 day, usually once per cycle, let me just turn it green. Once per cycle, you do check in with it, whether it's at the start, lower, whatever. This is coming out of the bear market into the bull. 2018 though, 2018 in July, it did try. It did try. Right? So that would be real interesting if it happened. Do I think it does? I'm less likely to think it does, but I'm just leaving that loosely held out there that there is a potential chance. Accepting back into this all-time high VWAP, though, is actually very structurally nice for Bitcoin. Like, just it's good to get a nice lower high pop. I think it just stalls out. I think it just stalls out in this yearly VWAP range, personally. Like, I really do. I really think that's just what will happen. And the reason I say that is Bitfinex long rate wise, it's just flattened off. They haven't sold anything yet. I would expect them to already be selling this pump, or at least try to. That's usually when you would be able to find a reversal, right? Like, here's your reversal, here's your reversal. If we were going to go a lot higher, just not there yet. So I don't know, pretty interesting. Yeah, even when I said to use that weekly VWAP, I mean, we pretty much just traded within it the whole time, tried to pop above, tried to get a fake out below, and we didn't. So we move this now here to this Monday. Yeah, we pretty much just traded all within it, and now we're going to have to just keep this anchored here and see how it trades this week, and we'll see what happens this week here as well. So the trend's up. The trend's up, and I would not try to fight this while Bitcoin's on a tear. So we just have to get above this previous monthly now, and we can probably start targeting the yearly by all means. So it looks good. It looks real good. It really does. If we're going to defend this all summer, though, you know, I think 2024 we can pull up as well. There's so much confluence just kind of at the low 60s to 58 range. I wouldn't even be surprised if we swept this all summer and just kept setting lower highs, right? So the trend's up. Don't fucking fight it. Nothing you can do, right? I'm long for what it's worth. It looks great. It really does. So this is really interesting. This just came up on the screen, but we just had a weird perp-driven rally. Actually, it was a little bit of a mixed spot as well, and we just took out this big sell wall here that had been sitting here over the week, even though we had a big Binance whale here helping prop up price the whole time this kind of over the weekend. Interesting. We did not fill these perp asks, but we did fill this sell ask that was sitting here on the book with a bit of spot buying into it. And then we had a bunch of positioning, looks like long, rise up with that. So I just saw this come up now, and I thought I would just share it. God, why did MMT change this? 12 mil, 20 mil, 1720. There's a lot of big boys here. Sure tried to follow through with that. It'd be very bad if we sold off of this. Anyways, Bitcoin TPO. I just don't know. I don't think I want to combine this profile. It's just I would want this point of control to be back in here, like under this value high. I think what I'll do is I won't combine it. I think what I'll do is I'll start marking these levels down. So this is really weird. Like I said, so we tested that 2-week value area high again, and also on this 2-day composite that was down here before bouncing up. So it's a little bit just of a weird profile over the weekend. Obviously, we closed higher. And in fact, actually, we opened above the June value area high, which is good. Like this week closed above and opened above the June value area high, which is good. Like overall, value is shifting higher. It's just going to be weird figuring out the directioning over the weekend going into this week. I will say this, I would not want to revisit lower, and I don't think we really have a reason to yet, unless there's some really big spook. Yeah. This has got to keep going. But this node here, this big 65,700 is a spot of interest. You know, we got close to tagging it, but not quite. That's real interesting. And then the big single from back here above the 90-day VWAP. So very, very interesting developments. Very interesting. We're going to have to see kind of how this plays out. I think as long as you stay above 7-day VWAP and the June point of control, previous week value area low, super bullish, good. It's this right here now going into the second half of the month I want to stay above. So that's how I'm playing it. Yeah, okay. Looks pretty straightforward to me. ETH, on the other hand, still the strongest of them all, accepting definitely higher here. I think targeting that yearly VWAP is definitely a point of interest as well, kind of confluent with Bitcoin's VWAP. You know, we could even look at the previous quarter here. It's up here as well. So definitely interesting. Definitely interesting for sure. Where's Bitcoin's previous quarter VWAP at? 16. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So definitely, I mean, the trend's up. There's not much really to say. The trend is up. You just can't fight it. Like everything's accepting higher. We're making higher lows and higher highs. I don't really think you should just try and step in front of this on a long-term short, especially because midterm year July for Bitcoin are bullish. I guess hype will do real quick. Hype is very close to losing that previous month there, and kind of started to accept back into that quarterly. I was right last week to say that it was looking toppy and I'd rather be short. You kind of got to hope that this holds. That's a tough one. I'll be honest, this is not something I want to touch. From a yearly perspective, sure. You know, failed to accept back into. Maybe try the scalp long. Maybe try the scalp long and see if there's a failed breakdown you target new highs. But this looks exactly like the SPX right now. And it's been trading like that kind of its whole time. Very interesting to see the on-chain most tokenized stocks kind of platform here trading very similar patternistically all year to what the big SPX was doing. That might be something to watch down the road. Okay. Yeah. Rolling view app wise, it's a tough one, man. It kind of needs to squeeze. And so does ETH. So, what's ETH rolling view apps at? Let's go take a look here. I don't know, man. I still think there's just more left in the tank. Like I really do. I don't know. I think people are too bearish right now. I think people are just early to be bearish right now on the divergent side. That's my take. That's my honest take. ETH has been following the 2019 fractal pretty good. What I mean by that is, like, if we look at the blue here where we interact with, this would be that in 2018, pop up above, right, like 2019, and then you sell off, and now you're at the lower end of the bands. Can you imagine if ETH swept the top of the fucking log band? Do you know how many people that fake the fuck out, right? That would fake out so many people if we just came down, swept the blue band, pushed up. Could you fucking imagine? It's been following it so closely. Like, look, here, touch the blue line. Here, touch the blue line. Push up. Push up. Fight to come back into the purple bands. Drop below, right? Drop below, right? Sweep these blue lines here, right? Like this here could be right here. Come all the way down to the blue line and then bounce up and then fake everyone out. Can you imagine how fucking dirty that would be? And you know what's crazy is with how much real world assets and tokenized, like everything scalability on ETH now, like all the big boys, all the central banks are starting to use ETH. I could totally see why this is doing that. Just from like I don't know how to explain it. Like I could just see why it's doing that. I don't know how to explain it, but I could totally fucking see it of why it's kind of stronger right now than BTC. Because I said last video it's stronger than BTC. I don't know how to put it into words. I don't know how to formulate it. This is just autism speaking. Fuck it, I could so see why this could outperform and face rip Bitcoin right now. Personally, both assets would rise together. Don't get me wrong, but I could see why it would outperform briefly. Do I think the low's in? No. And you want to know how I know the low's in? Oops. There's been no double bottom on ETH BTC. No double bottom. We need this. This. There's no double bottom yet. That's how you know. We're talking about gold real quick here. If gold can catch a bid into the China paper trading ban on the 24th, I want to show you guys something here. Okay. This is the DXY, right? This is the DXY here. Oh. Oh. A little interesting. Gold weak, dollar strong, right? It's kind of an inverse correlation, right? Now, when the dollar got super weak and started to sell off, right? Look at this here. So actually gold bottomed, right? Or we call this double bottom. The dollar did its final move, right? Before selling off, and then gold went on a face ripper. But then when gold topped out, right, the dollar bottomed out, right? So when I look at this and I think of the inverse, I go, okay, these are following damn close. Is gold and Bitcoin maybe about a squeeze? And maybe that's what we're seeing? You just got to remember, Bitcoin being so backed by Tether, which has massive bond reserves, massive gold reserves, plus other stablecoins like Circle. What if we saw gold do something stupid where it just went, right? Just went, or sorry, I guess gold would go, yeah, gold would go, and the dollar would go, right? Dollar would just get real weak out of nowhere, real weak. Do you guys see this? Do you see all the correlation here? What if all the bonds just went, what would happen? Right? Is that not, do you just not think that's a little sus? Do you just not think that's a little sus? This is just gold inverted, and the dollar and the 10-year are normal. Do you guys see what I'm seeing? Do you guys see the potential that I'm seeing? Right? Could you imagine if China rugs the world on the 24th? Could you imagine? We get a nice little pop into earnings, do some cushion squeezing, and then early August we just. But with that being said, if we got a blowout and we got a 50 plus VIX, that would mark the cycle low on everything. 50 plus VIX always marks the low on everything. That would be very interesting, guys. It'd be very interesting. I'm just, hey, I'm not trying to get too conspiracy based, but I'm just saying, gold too. If it can catch a fucking low, maybe gold still has to pull back further and fill this gap. I don't know. Okay, it's anything like midterm years. There will be a bottom and then a pop. There always is. There's some sort of bottom and then a pop higher. I don't know. What happened in 2000s? This just 2000 is the tech bubble. Hard to say with gold because I really don't know. But I do think it's so weird how much central banks keep accumulating. And then we're going to have this paper check by China on the 24th. It'd be very interesting. It'd be very interesting. Very interested in that. Okay. Why don't we go check out oil? It's another chart I want to look at. I don't even want to look at the other stocks. They all just doesn't fucking matter. And it just looks like oil tops in midterm years before selling off. 2000. I mean, this is different. That's financial crisis, but that's interesting. Interesting. And guess what? Right now, it's filling this gap here. Filling this gap here. And then now it has one here. And there's one back down here as well. So, okay. Is there any up higher that you think? What if we bottomed the stocks this week, filled this gap in oil, and then sold back down? I know some of the SBR reserve stuff, news coming out, whatever, the war heating up. I know that's a factor. But I'd really want to see that impact this and this to get back above 100 to really say, okay, it's super risk off time. I know, I feel like there's a trick in the sleeve there with the whole Iraq deal and maybe a Canadian deal. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a bigger plan to that. There's a bigger plan. I don't know. I'm so curious to see if the yields keep declining, though, instead of going up. That's what I'm interested in. Okay, real quick. The Kospi here is still figuring itself out. I like this because the Kospi has always bottomed kind of near a 3 to a 4 handle, right? It's looking real oversold. And actually, looks like they're trying to buy off the low right now. We'll have to see how this plays out. But if this can just hold itself and consolidate, we got a death cross here too. What if we bottomed on a death cross? That's possible. It's close to bottoming. I know it is. It'd be so interesting if this rallied and the SPX stayed stable or didn't sell off. I wonder if that would squeeze the SPX really high. Like just weirdly in a different way. That'd be so interesting to me. There's so much interesting shit going on in the markets right now. Like so So interesting. I've just been scalping and playing it safe, but like I just know that this is close to a bottom, and they're gonna figure out something with the leverage ETFs they announced. They're gonna stop lending of the South Korean, what is it, won? Is that right? Um, it's just interesting. And futures are still positive right now, going into the start of this week. I mean, I guess it doesn't mean anything yet. Okay, whatever. Fuck it. Whatever. DRAM. Speaking of just Korean memory, DRAM below the 50. Below the 50. Not good, but also could have been filling some gaps back here that were left unfilled. I would not want to go this low on this, but it's possible. SpaceX, I don't want to touch it, but I will say Elon Musk said not to bet against it, and that's probably something interesting there with that. SanDisk as well. There's a gap back here to fill on it. I really wouldn't want to go that low on it. 200 days down, just below 1,000. The thing is I get people are so bearish on these right now, and yes, things look oversold in some markets. This is already down 43%. Like, that would wipe out a lot of money to keep going down. And I mean, it's definitely a parabolic rally, right? Like, it's definitely a parabolic rally, but like, I don't know how to explain this. Like usually when I'm super bearish, I'm not wrong. But I just don't think it's yet to crash everything. I don't know how to describe it. I just don't think it's just yet. I need to see more confluence. Does it look great? No. Does it look bad that Micron is rejecting off the 50-day reclaim? Yeah. But we could argue it just wants to fill this and go back up. Right? But at the same time, the Kospi, like, I know that's close to a bottom unless I'm really wrong about that. Google as well made a little gap in the chart. Had some bad news come out about some delays. Amazon looks fine, right? Like it just reclaimed the 50 and 20. This is a great stock. Long term, buy a lot of Amazon. Seriously. Apple looks fantastic. Meta still looks decent. Not amazing, but looks decent. It's got some gaps here to fill. But I mean, that's it right there. Gap fill still above the 200-day. The thing is, what I think a lot of people are getting wrong is everything besides Microsoft is above its 200-day moving average, which from a breadth perspective is fine. Everything besides Microsoft. Nvidia is fine. Nvidia is still fighting. But the thing is these type of patterns I've seen before, and it's like you don't bid against that. Like this here looks exactly like here, where it just sold off a bit and then bounced higher. Like, same thing. Look, it sells off and then just candles up. And it's the same pattern. It does this weird V in here, right? Weird V, and then it goes down and then up. Right? Like Nvidia always has this weird shit. Like, it does it here too. It does it here. It does, like, it does it. I don't know. Like, just in my brain, like, I know to you guys it probably just sounds fucking stupid, but I just don't think it's yet. Like, and usually I'm very good at catching the downside. Avgo still above Tesla could do better. They report this week. I'm really curious to see what they say. You know, Oracle looks like shit, but I mean, it's just testing this from back here. Right? And like last time it went below this, it reverted up hard. I don't know. Usually I'm so good at calling the downside and just like being crash ready. Like I've got the last 4 out of 4 perfectly. I think I'm going for 5 out of 5 here if August and September is right. I just don't think it's tomorrow. Could it be after this week? Yeah, maybe. Could it be August? Potentially, very high likely. But there's just no signal yet that's gone off in my brain. Oh, fuck. Speaking of which, all the big banks reported this week. And the XLF actually made a new all-time high. When do you see banks make a new all-time high if there wasn't a financial crisis or something, right? They're making a lot of money off financing out to these companies and whatnot, right? Like, look at this. JPM, like, that's a crazy beat. 37%, 13% revenue. Goldman, 44.25. Bank of America, a little weak. Wells, not bad. American Express reports Friday. Citi beat decently. Morgan Stanley beat decently. Like, I just don't see. Yeah, and like even the credit spreads, they're just not bad yet. You know, there's definitely a warning in this. Don't like let's not confuse that. There's a little bit of a warning in the yield affected one, but I just think everyone's too fucking early. Like you gotta at least give it this week to play out to see what the SPX does, right? And even the dollar right now, like people are like oil up, whatever, and it's like it's still struggling to break out. You know, like, if this goes back below the 50, I mean, it's whatever, right? Like this has to really break out to say okay, risk off. So I don't know. I think Steve Eisman's video, the guy who did the Big Short, he talked about the banks really well this week, and I agree with him. It's what the market needed to hear for goodness, but I just don't think it's yet, man. I think we got to give this a little more time to play out, a little more. But I think you pay attention to what happens Friday and how gold and the dollar and everything else reacts. But that's enough rambling from me. I've extended this out too long. I hope you guys found some alpha in this video at some point somehow. But yeah, boys, it's been Big Trout, and we'll see you on the next one.